Huge issue at Service Transportation. Not necessarily having to fix equipment, but not knowing what we have to fix. And what I mean by that is, we know we have way too many drivers who are not doing pre-trips. They're not doing post-trips. We're having defective equipment that a driver will knowingly admit has an issue, and the driver continues to move down the road with it, sometimes for days, without reporting any issues at all. Ultimately, issues are being found by the DOT, and most of the time drivers are just admitting that we're not doing pre-trips. Yesterday, Friday alone, we had 2 drivers, 2 different events, who both admitted freely they have not done a pre-trip in months. That's not a made-up story, folks. It's the truth. One guy flat out admitted that he does not raise the hood on his truck because the last time he done that and found an issue, he had to go to the shop. We have to be doing pre-trips, trucks and trailers. Pre-trip's not optional, folks. Pre-trip is not my rule. It's not Jeff's rule. It's not Jason's rule. It is the federal government's law that the driver, the operator of that equipment, which is you, ensures that truck is ready to go on the road safely. And when there's an issue found, we need you all reporting those issues. Doesn't make you a bad guy. Doesn't mean that we're gonna give you a hard time because you found something wrong. It means that we're gonna have to repair and take care of our issues. There are drivers within Service Transportation who are trying to handle maintenance issues on their own, who are having maintenance issues and not reporting them because they don't want to cause any issues for us. For whatever reason, we've got a handful of drivers that don't want to report a maintenance issue because it's going to cost money to fix it. Then we need to know about it so we can fix it. You keeping it a secret that we've got a flat tire, a bent rim, a constant coolant leak. You're not helping us at all, folks, when you're not reporting these things to us. Tell us about them, whether you're a Domtar driver, a Crown switcher, a road driver, work up in Wilson. There's an issue on a piece of equipment. We have got to know it. That said, the decision was made in conversation yesterday. And that's why these meetings are always a little different when we do them, because things change. That we are going to start a pre-trip program. And what that means is, essentially, myself, Jeff, Freddie, we are going to have to go behind drivers on a weekly basis, looking at logs to see if a driver showed a pre-trip on their log. And when drivers don't show pre-trip on their log, Danny, I'm not sure what you're doing there, Chief. You're drawing on the screen. We'll do color time later, but when drivers have no pre-trip shown on their log, we are going to have to reach out and speak to you about it. We're going to have to try to get you corrected. And with that, we're changing up some of our agreements, or our agreements with the camera company. Danny, I'm not sure what you're doing there, boss. I'm gonna have to, I don't know if everybody else can see that. Let's there we go. We are gonna have to start doing a lot more video pulls from the camera companies. I know we all don't like the cameras, but they are what they are, and we got to have them. And they do more benefit than harm to this company, as more than most drivers will ever know. But when a driver gets a bad DOT inspection or gets stopped in general, we have to go to the video. We have to see they raised the hood on that truck. If a driver's raising the hood on his truck, he's doing a pre-trip, or at least appears to be doing a pre-trip. So get your hoods up, do your pre-trips, do the job that you're hired to do. I mean, I understand it's cold. We fully get that. It's cold out there. You're having long days, long nights. You need a good flashlight. You need a good set of gloves. You need to know what it is you're looking for. Message got sent out earlier this week about doing pre-trips and ensuring that your trailer is actually empty and doesn't have people in it. Homeless people, taking refuge and having a place to sleep out of the wind and rain and snow. I've seen stories myself where they'll set little fires up in there, burn barrel inside of a trailer, and you got to do your pre-trips. So let's all please get in the mindset that's got to start. If you haven't done a pre-trip, you need to get in the mindset today that you have got to do pre-trips. Same thing again from the shop here. This is going to be an all the time deal, folks. You bringing your trucks into the shop to get worked on. Mark Smith and those boys at Quality Fleet Maintenance, they are not going to lay on the floor of a nastied up truck with your pee bottles and trash bags and 3 inches of dirt. They're not going to do it. So you got an issue on your truck, and you come in there with urine bottles on the floor, and like I said, 3 inches of dirt down there, and a big old thick layer of mess on the dash. They're gonna tell you that truck's got to be clean before they can do anything with it. So have your trucks cleaned up when you come into the shop. Let's put on a good front, do the things you're supposed to be doing. Have some professionalism about the stuff we're doing. So we need you to help us keep everybody moving. And with that, you're going to have to do those pre-trips, keep your equipment together, and report the issues you find. When you report them, you need to do so with the DVIR, the driver vehicle inspection report. Every driver in the company, whether you're a time card driver, whether you're a road driver, has a sign in for the OmniTrax, meaning you sign in, you complete a DVIR, and then you call the shop. We don't text the shop. We don't text the driver manager. No need. Myself, I know Jeff does as well. No need to text me a picture of something that's broken, because all you're going to do is be told to call the shop, do a DVIR. Let's follow the correct procedure. It baffles me every month how many times we get a call or a message into the office up in dispatch with a guy telling us, "Oh, my truck's due service." You got to contact the shop. You have got to contact the shop. Some dispatch and operations items. Paperwork, folks. Y'all keep hearing it all the time. You got to turn your paperwork in. When I tell you, you are not going to be paid on trips that you didn't turn paperwork in for, that's because you will not be paid for trips you don't turn paperwork in for. Turn the paperwork in, please. The communication, answer the phone when dispatch is calling you. You talk to them, have a conversation with whatever load they have you on, whatever questions they have. Shouting, fussing, and yelling back and forth with them. We got too much of that going on, and Freddie's going to chime in on that towards the end of this as well. But we've got to have a certain level of communication with drivers. I'll tell y'all right now. I mean, we hire folks from all areas that we operate in. And when we have drivers out in Kentucky and Indiana and Illinois, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, and we so much as call one driver and can't get him on the phone after about 30, 40 minutes, with today's world and the issues we've dealt with, we have to start assuming that either A, something's gone wrong, or B, driver's just decided he's going to do what he wants to do and park the truck wherever and take off till he decides to come back to work. And that's not how we have that. We're not going to be able to operate that way. So we call you, we need you to answer the phone. We need to have a conversation with you for a reason. Availability, time off requests, those kind of go hand in hand. If you're going to be available to work at 4 in the morning, by golly, let's be available to work at 4 in the morning. That means you got to put time off request in. There's not a single person on this meeting this morning, myself, Jeff, Freddie included, Kevin, Donnie, David, Karen in the office, everybody, along with every driver who does not have to put in a time off request to be off. That is how time off is granted at Service Transportation. It's not granted through a text message to Roby or Donnie or Freddie. It is done through a time off request form, and Freddie can get you the form. If you need a form, Freddie's your man. He can email it, fax it. Freddie, I guess we can send it through Driver Reach if need be, but we can get you the form that you can fill out to request the time off you'd like to have at least 2 weeks ahead of time. 2 weeks ahead of time. Now, with that, I will tell you there are blackout dates for time off based on how many people have already requested that time off. So if you're waiting to exactly 2 weeks from today to request, 2 weeks from now off, and you put your request in and hear back, oh, that time's already been booked up by other drivers, that is what it is. Once again, that's not a Frank issue. That's a Service Transportation issue. That's not a driver manager needs to make it work for me. That's a Service Transportation issue. So we need everybody, doing your part. I got more people coming in late. Doing your parts to get these forms in and request time off the way Service Transportation needs it to be done. And then again, you got to communicate, folks, please. I tell folks all the time that if you're in a position with Service Transportation or any other company, whether something's gone wrong, everything's hunky-dory, we need to get a load on you. We need to talk about a load, need to change a load. Anytime your employers want to speak to you, it's being done for a reason. So we have got to be able to communicate to drivers and get you on the phones. That's why we're doing these meetings. There's a big fear of coming into that building because drivers may be asked to do a little bit more work because you got 3 or 4 hours on your clock. Okay, you may be asked a question about something you're uncomfortable with. That's part of it. So we're doing these Zoom meetings, and these are going to continue to get feedback from drivers, to get information to drivers, and with that, just have another avenue to be able to communicate. Safety and compliance. I'm not going to lie to anybody on this meeting. For whatever reason, hours of service and personal conveyance usage has become a train wreck over the past 2 months, and we don't know why. And because we don't know why, we have to fix it. You all should have got messaged on your trucks this week that we are having to change the way personal conveyance is used. You all were sent fleet messages. You all seen changes on your systems. The personal conveyance portion of the e-log is not something you have to have by law. It is a luxury that companies are allowed to have for drivers if it's used properly. And we cannot have drivers misusing personal conveyance improperly that can ultimately cost transportation tons. I can't give you details, but there was an incident in the past 13 days. Yeah, 13 days, that with a driver's drive status being what it was, showing personal conveyance when he was not personal conveyance, it's hit Service Transportation big. It has hit Service Transportation hugely. So we've got to pay more attention to personal conveyance. I've got some examples of some things I'm going to show you here in a minute, but because if you don't know what you can do with personal conveyance, you need to call. You don't need to ride down the road 3 hours in personal conveyance and then call. You need to call at 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 3 p.m. You have got to call myself or Jeff Butters. Okay, you have got to call somebody. Getting stopped on while you're on personal conveyance and telling a DOT officer that my company said it was okay. And by golly, we got the phone records to show, A, you didn't call. And we got the recorded conversations to show you, too, B, we didn't have a conversation with you. and getting thrown under the bus and getting CSA points for it, we can't operate that way. If you've got drive time, you need to use drive time. There are very limited and specific reasons you could use personal conveyance for, and we are happy to answer those questions whenever it is about your personal conveyance needs, concerns, issues, otherwise. But we can't do it if you don't reach out. So give us a call. Frank, Jeff, here's the issue. Can I PC? Now, if the answer is no, doesn't make us a bad company. It just means the answer is no. Okay. And just because you reach out and have an issue, question, concern, doesn't mean you're going to get the answer you like. You know, there are things bigger than a single driver that we have to focus on. So we got to do those things. Certifying logs. If you're not a driver who is approving and certifying your logs every day now, you need to become one. By law, you have to submit your logs for review at least once every 7 days. Service transportation, these drivers approving logs, turning time cards in, submitting a paper log when you may be on a paper log that day. You need to be submitting logs that day. That means you end your day, you start your 10-hour break, you need to go in and certify your logs up to that point. We have several drivers a few weeks ago that were well past the 21-day mark. We only have a few right now that are 10, 15, 16 days where they haven't approved logs. And in the center of your e-log screen where it says you need to review and certify logs, it's telling you what to do. So it's not a secret as to what it is needs to be done. Once again, you have questions about it, don't know what to do, reach out and ask myself or Jeff. Just reach out, give us a phone call. We can walk you through what to do. Samsara, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Do want to show you, if you can see on the screen right here, December 1st, just a few days ago, this is an example of the personal conveyance screen that we see, that Jeff and myself see every day. What you don't see is the driver's names and all that stuff on the left side is cut out. But I mean, look at this screen, folks. I mean, I want to cover a few things. So 12/1, 4:02 a.m. for 20 minutes and 34 seconds, Hillsboro, Ohio, personal conveyance meal. That's great. That is wonderful. The man personal conveyed to go get him something to eat. The problem with that is his tracking doesn't show him going to the McDonald's or the Quincy's or the Golden Corral. His tracking shows him moving around a customer's property, which is fine. But why not put the customer's name over there in the marks? Well, the reason we chose meal is because that was one of the pre-filled options we had for you. We've removed that to where you actually have to type in a reason now. Type in the name of a customer like the driver did where they put Wagner. Like the driver at the bottom did where they put Sunoco. Type in what it is you're doing. Now, when we look at this and what you're putting in there is not making any sense, we'll reach out and coach you up on it and talk about it. Okay, doesn't mean you're a bad driver. It means that we've got things to improve on. Okay, doesn't mean you're a bad driver. It means we've got some areas we need to improve on. So, another one here, 47 minutes, 33 seconds, Titusville, Florida, finding parking. Okay, that's great. Okay, minor problem with that. Driver put Titusville, Florida, finding parking. When he started that personal conveyance option, he was already at a Harbor Freight tool store parked. He was 7-8 hours into a break. He done a drop and hook there. He tells the story, oh, I didn't want to stay there. I want to go to the truck stop and get a shower. You're 7 or 8 hours into a break. When you are parked and you list finding parking on your log, that doesn't fly in an inspection. It doesn't pass if you're in an accident and your logs are looked at. You know, this driver should have finished his breakout and then through the course of his day after a 10-hour break, stop, get him a shower, something to eat, and keep moving up the road. Again, if you don't know what you can or can't do, reach out to us, please. Once again, you may not like the answer you get. We may not tell you that, yes, you can personally convey 3, 4, 5 hours because you want to, but let us help you. Kind of the same deal here. Another one looking for a place to park. Your truck stop, personal conveyed 20 minutes, Dillon, South Carolina truck stop. For what? What did we personal convey to the truck stop for? Were we personal conveying to get something to eat? Was there no parking where we were at prior? What were we personal conveying for? That's what'll have to be shown should you get inspected. Okay. So once again, reach out to us, get us on the phones. You have to type in your reasoning on your screen. You know, we've had to remove that so that drivers can't claim, oh, I was just tapping something on the screen. You've seen the option on there, 30-minute rest break, truck cannot move. Well, folks, if the 30-minute rest break, truck cannot move options on there, and we're selecting that option, yet driving an hour and a half down the road, then that's an oxymoron. We're telling the system we can't move, but yet we move anyway. Okay, and then when you're stopped and get an inspection for it, and the company picks up CSA points, there is nobody laughing inside Service Transportation. Okay, we look like a bunch of dum-dums to our customers, to the DOT, you know, to drivers who actually pay attention to these scores. You know, customers see these scores, they ask questions of them. You know, they don't want their freight being hauled by companies that they have to worry are going to have an inherent risk that something's going to go wrong and delay their shipments from inspections, accidents, and even being put out of service. And lastly, here on unassigned driving time, just showing you, I actually ran this morning. This is what we see on an unassigned drive time screen. What that means is if you're logging out of your truck and you're driving the truck, we know it, folks. And all of that time has to be put back to your log. So you are accomplishing nothing. Okay. This driver here on 12/3 at 7:22 in the morning for 13 minutes in Manning, South Carolina, he's accomplished nothing, because that time will go right back onto his log. There's no need for any driver to sign out of an e-log unless your truck's in the shop for maintenance, or you're parked on the yard and there's an opportunity for somebody else to drive it. Okay, that's the only times. Simply logging out of your log and thinking you're going to get another 20-30 minutes up the road, Service Transportation is going to be none the wiser. But the minute you log back in, it pops up, driver signed out of the truck in Manning, signed back in Orangeburg. How did he move this distance without being signed into the log? Okay, folks, this isn't us trying to give you a hard time. This is us having to follow the law. And once again, please reach out if you don't understand, you have questions. We can help you. We can help you help Service Transportation. Our CSA scores, those haven't updated yet, but all of this stuff impacts us tremendously. Accidents, left lane tickets, speeding, cell phone texting tickets. This stuff has an impact on the company, has an impact on you as the driver. You know, we get it all the time where drivers stop, they're given a warning for speeding. 2 months down the road, it's bonus time, they don't get their bonus, and then lo and behold, Service Transportation is the worst company in the world because they lost their bonus because they got CSA points. One of the worst things for a driver is for you to get a warning ticket, you have nothing to fight. You know, you get an actual citation. If you chose to go to court and fight it, you can. But at the same time, we have drivers who get tickets. Most notably recently, we had a driver a few months back, get him a citation in Fayetteville, North Carolina, speeding in a work zone. He's going to go fight it. He fights it. He fights it. He fights it. He has no idea what happens to it. We're still sitting with the CSA points. Okay, he could have went and seen a judge and just thrown it out. Judge could have said, you know what, you're the best, safest driver in the whole world. This officer never should have ticketed you. We're still sitting on the CSA points. And that's what matters at the end of the day. We need folks doing the things they're supposed to do behind the wheel. We need folks doing the things that you're supposed to do behind the wheel. Just a snapshot of some of the violations. Our most prolific ones: left lane violations, speeding 6 to 10 over, use of a cell phone, a handheld cell phone behind the wheel. These things are all serious, folks. None of this is made up information. Not a single dispatcher or person in the shop has contributed to any of these citations or these infractions. So these are the drivers. I can go back. Can I go back? I do want to show you. There is one here. I want everybody to see it. This driver failed to manually add shipping documents. Right here, we've got one of those in the past 2 years. Folks, that right there is the driver not completing the load tab inside of hours of service. So on your hours of service screen, the tab to the far right that says load, tap it, enter your load information. That stuff matters. That stuff matters. If you don't know how to do that, once again, reach out. Myself, Jeff, Kevin, Freddie. We can help you get it right. Okay? We can help you get it right. I'm a big believer in sharing what to you all, what we're able to see. Here's what we get. This is an actual report. You know, shows every driver, which we already know about it, but this is where our scores come from. The violations, the names, if the ones that are blacked out, obviously violations. There's a lot of violations on the screen, folks. You know, lane restrictions, the unsecure fire extinguisher just rolling around the cab, another speeding, your brake issues, improper use of personal conveyance. That's the one where the driver, the older company told me I could use it. He'd never even spoke to anybody at Service Transportation. He just chose to do it himself because he wanted to save an hour's worth of time going to Harbor Freight Tools in Dillon. That's not a Service Transportation issue, but it is because he got stopped. Obviously, we're doing pre-trips, reporting what you got. You know, whether it's bad tires that you find on a pre-trip, broken airlines become a daily issue for us. Those infamous yellow poles at Harbor Freight Tool stores. Guys, if you've got an issue of concern, you're worried you can't navigate a Harbor Freight store. Let me turn this thing down. A Harbor Freight Tool store without hitting a yellow pole, or you're worried that a tire you picked up on a trailer is in such bad condition it shouldn't be on the road, get a hold of us. Okay, but to know these things, you actually got to get out and look, do pre-trips, take a picture of your surroundings with your eyes, get out of the truck, assess what it is you're dealing with. Broken airlines become a daily event for us. For whatever reason, I mean, just yet, Thursday, driver claims to be turning around at the Florence yard. Had to do a turn so tight that it broke the airlines off. I don't buy it myself because I know you can go down there and navigate that yard without being so tight on the turn that it rips your airlines off. Okay. But often what we find is we've got airlines dragging the catwalk being that platform on the back of your cab. They're dragging the catwalk, getting hung up in there as the guy's making a turn, and it ultimately snaps them off. We've been there and done it as well, folks. So, you know, once again, you got questions about it, you don't understand, reach out, get clarity on something before you decide to ride down the road with a bad tire. Report to us what you're finding. You know, let us deal with it the best we can. And finally, I think this is my last one. Yeah. And then we'll open this up for any questions. I want to give Jeff and Freddie an opportunity to say something. But Samsara is coming. Samsara is going to change the way Service Transportation operates with hours of service. Samsara is a technology company. They're not a device company. What that means is they have a Wi-Fi hotspot that is going to be installed inside of certain trucks. Not all of our trucks are getting it. Only about 78, I believe it is, for now. So a large portion of our fleet will be moving to Samsara. It'll be a Wi-Fi hotspot in the truck. The driver will download an app onto your phone, tablet, whatever you've got. It doesn't even have to be a working phone or a working tablet, iPad, whatever. So long as you can connect to the internet with it through Wi-Fi, it'll work in the trucks. Meaning you use it for hours of service, but you can use it for YouTube and Facebook and Netflix and whatever else you do internet with. You're right there through the hotspot in the truck with no issues. Doesn't cost a dime. So we're moving to that. It is a much easier system to use. We've had approximately 10, 12 drivers use the system in testing one way or another. We have 2 drivers that are full-time on it now. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this. Combined training time among all of those drivers has not been more than 15 or 20 minutes. It really is as simple as tapping a button on your screen that says on duty or off duty. It detects driving. It truly is a very simple system to use. Like everything else, we just got an email in that a driver has ripped an airline off of a trailer at Domtar. So it happens. With that, if you have questions as we get through this, we're going to be able to train you. We're going to be able to help the company by you learning this new system. It is simpler, folks. It should make hours of service a lot easier for drivers to use. The OmniTrack systems, while they're a good system, they are aged, they're dated. OmniTrax has done all they can to keep their platform operational, but we have to find something that works for Service Transportation and the drivers. Of these trucks that we have to convert over, the goal is to have these completed by the end of January 2022. So within 2 months, that is the goal. And what that's going to mean is, we'll have to have your truck for about 20 minutes. We'll install this system here, get you downloaded on the app, and you'll be set. You'll sign into it, connect to that truck, and you'll be ready to roll. So that's all there is to it. What it may mean is that we may install the system into your truck and you continue to use OmniTrax until we make that transition over for you. Both systems would be in the truck. Obviously, you would only be using one of them. So that's what we got going on with Samsara. So what I want to do now, I want to I am going to make Jeff Butters the host. Let Jeff come in with anything he'd like to add, say, or otherwise to what we've been talking about. Jeff's come on board with us this year, and you've really been a big asset to us. So, Jeff, can you hear us? Jeff? Can anybody hear Jeff? Okay, we'll try Jeff in a minute. Let's Jeff. Let's try Freddie.
How do you do that?
Hey, can you hear me? Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bud.
Okay. I don't have a lot. I'm just going to kind of reiterate some things that Frank said there.
Right here. Right.
Picking up somebody else too. But the big thing here is communicate with us, guys. If you've got questions, you don't know why we do certain things that we do, or why we're asking you to do certain things we're asking you to do, call me, call somebody. You're by the yard, come in and see it. Sometimes some of you guys call me on my desk, and I'm not just sitting at my desk all day. But I do try to reach back out to everybody so that I'm getting your questions answered. As far as those pre-trip, post-trips, call that stuff in. You're finding issues, let us know. That driver sat in the office and admitted that he just stopped doing pre-trips because he's having to call the shop and come by the shop and deal with it. He just didn't feel like it. So that's the trailers that are being dropped where you other guys are going in, and now you're having to fix other people's problems because they just didn't feel like dealing with it. So, reach out, get clarification. you just call us. And the only other thing I've got is next month, in January, I'll be sending out the annual violation review form. I ask you to get those back into me in a timely manner, and we're going to send those out electronically. We're not going to have a lot of paper on this. So when you see that, go ahead and get that done, send it back in, and then we'll be done with that. We won't have to harp on that for weeks and weeks and months and months. Other than that, Frank, that's all I've got for them today.
Okay, thank you, Freddie. Let's go back to Jeff. I think we got Jeff now. Jeff, you got us? I thought we had Jeff. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now, folks, I'm going to unmute everybody. Just listen to me. I'm gonna unmute everybody. If anybody's got anything you'd like to ask, comment, say, we've got about 10, 15 minutes left on this session. If anybody's got anything to like to add, comment, say, we'd love to hear it. Hear what you got to say, but let's try not to talk over each other. So I'm going to, at this point here, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to. Everybody's been given that functionality. And if anybody's got anything they'd like to ask, if you would just tell us your name and let's hear what you got to say. So we got one person that is it's in a chat message, Miss Brittany. She wants to know, going back to logs, if a driver has their truck in the shop and logs out of the system and the truck is moved by maintenance, we can reject that time. I thought they were supposed to log in anytime they move the truck. Okay. So Brittany's asking, when your truck goes into the shop, is she supposed to log out of the system? Yes, you log out of the truck when your truck is dropped off for shop maintenance. When you log back in, it is going to ask you about unassigned drive time. And all unassigned drive time is, folks, is that truck is moved without you signed in as the driver. Quality Fleet Maintenance, Freightliner, Volvo, Peterbilt, whoever, they do not sign into e-logs. Okay, that's why you have to go in and reject that time. So once again, that's another situation. You got something pops up on your screen, unassigned time. You don't know what to do with it. You need to call myself or Jeff. Myself, Jeff, Freddie, we can help you through that stuff. Kevin, he can help you with that stuff. You don't know what to do with it, call. But Brittany's exactly right. You sign out of the truck when you turn it in for maintenance, not when you leave the house and you drive 30 minutes to the shop. Then you sign out once you get to the shop, off duty, log out of the machine. But no, nobody else signs into your truck just because they're in maintenance. That's a good question there, Brittany. Has anybody got anything they'd like to ask or add?
Hi, Frank. I got a quick question.
James, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. Hey, I know I'm a switcher, but whenever we switch over at Crown Bend, you got a Omnitrax in them. Can we do our DVRs on the
Yes.
Omnitrax?
Yes.
Just kind of let y'all know.
So what you got, if you're in a truck that's got an Omnitrax unit, you take your Omnitrax ID, you sign into the unit, you complete your DVIR, and then you submit it, and then you sign back out of the truck. That's exactly what you need to be doing with that.
Okay. And I had to do the paper one on the one at Domtar.
That's correct.
And one other thing that I do have to want to add is drivers need to make sure that there's a name on the trailer, the service transportation name on their trailers.
Yes.
Because all our trailers have names on it. But that's the only thing I need to say.
Yeah, James brings up a good point there, guys. Recently, we've had quite a few incidents where drivers are getting a trailer simply because it says Premier on it, or Hale or whatever.
Wallace.
They're not looking to see if it's got that service transportation decal on it. Make sure it's a service transportation trailer. We don't need to be hauling trailers from 400 and 500 miles that aren't ours just to have to bring it back, and we're not paid to do so. So here we go. Who's next? I got 30 people on here. I'm sure somebody's got a question somewhere.
This is Dan.
Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
You out there hunting, Dan?
I'm just sitting in here in the tree watching the field.
Okay, I got you.
Um, on the new system, are we going to be able to use navigation?
Yes, there will be a navigation add-on that comes with it. We're still finalizing that part of it.
Okay.
There will be a navigation that's built right into the unit itself.
Yeah.
Into the app, not the unit.
With the old one, the Omnitrax, it'll give you your time. Sometimes, Courtney wants to know, or my fleet manager wants to know what my ETA, and she'll call me up, and I tried to give her, our time so she can let the customer know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be using a system called Copilot,
Okay.
which is essentially the mapping software we use now
Right.
through what we have now. But it's one of the last parts I'm still working on as we get this transition set up.
Okay. That was my main concern right there, is that new, system there with, navigation. Will it be something like Omnitrax, or will it be sort of updated where you could go?
This is a totally different system. The way it looks, the way it works is totally different. It's got a very clean look to it. It's a very simple look.
Right.
Really there's 4 or 5 buttons right on one
Right.
screen that you would use. And like I said earlier, we have yet to have a driver in training or testing with it that has had any issue using the system.
Right.
With Omnitrax, it doesn't matter if it's a driver that's a 10 or 15-year driver or a driver that's barely got any experience. They
Right.
all seem to have one issue or another down the road.
That's like Harbor Freight. I like to go there and look around and sort of see what I got to do. I know one in Canton, Harbor Freight there, they want you to come in from the other way now, because the customer now or their neighbor don't want us, used to come in from the opposite end. They're in Canton, they're at Harbor Freight.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been to Nicholasville, and I've looked at it. It's sometimes you can go on Earth. I know I don't use it but I like to go to the place. Sometimes it's updated and you can see, how you got to maneuver around and so forth. And sometimes, you get there and you basically have to get out and maybe walk around and look, before you get back there.
Yeah, using something like Google Maps or Google Earth to get the visual of where it is you're going is definitely a good idea. You can get a picture of it in your mind before you get there.
Exactly.
There's never nothing wrong with that. So,
because I know you don't want to use it for it getting you anywhere, because it's liable to send you to. You just don't do that. But I like to get there, go to the place of business, and just look around up and down. So I have a visual. Maybe there's a bank on the left. I know that it's right up here or whatever, on the right or so forth. But I know some of the most of them are fairly easy, at least for me. But then they are that one over there, shoot off the AA near Cincinnati. I can't remember the name of it. Now that was sort of the way it was dropped in there. There was a curve out, and you had to really be careful about how you got it up in there in their square. They'll have an unloading zone that they want it inside that line.
Right.
But that was my main issue with that new system. If navigation, will I still be able to give my fleet manager and so forth my ETA if she calls me up, because I can switch it to hours.
Right. And with that, I'll tell you, the way your driver managers and we sit in the office, we'll actually see a more live, up-to-date view of where you're at, so we'll be able to get better times as well. So
great. Yeah, that's all right.
So also I just got it from Jeff here. Jeff's having some audio issues, but he did want to remind drivers that tandem pins need to be locked on trailers.
Yes.
We've got a lot of alerts as of late where drivers are coming to stops and they have a big old loud boom. And I know of a few that are on this call right here today that I've seen myself. They're having a big old loud boom because the tandems aren't locked and they're sliding to the rear of the trailers. We've got one trailer at the Wallace Yard right now. The rear end of it's absolutely destroyed from this happening, loaded with paper. Tandems go to the rear, busted up the rear of the trailer. So we need to make sure tandem pins are locked on trailers. I'm gonna get guys, there's no way to fake that. You can't fake and tell us your tandem pins were locked when you have a critical event come across and Jeff's looking at it, and sure enough, you know, we hear that big old boom and your tandems are sliding. So got to make sure we're doing that. Who's next?
Hey, Frank.
Hey,
This is Larry.
Larry, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. Yeah, I got a question about that navigation deal. Is it going to be better than what we got now?
It's going to be about the same. Copilot runs the ALK platform, which means nothing to y'all, but it's kind of all the same algorithms. It's going to look different, but it's going to for about 99% of everything that you'd request a route for in OmniTrax, it's going to be exactly the same. It's just going to look different.
Well, I know that sometimes what we got now, it'll actually send you in opposite direction, the wrong direction where you need to go. That happened to me 2 or 3 times. I mean, I go, pretty much the same place all the time now, so I know where I'm going.
Right.
But go to a new place, sometimes I get nervous. Am I going the right way or not?
Right.
And like Harbor Freight there in Dillon, the navigation actually, when you get there to Harbor Freight, you 2 or 3 miles away from your destination.
Mm-hmm.
It's sending you somewhere else.
So I can answer to that part of it. That's not necessarily the navigation. That's actually the way we have addresses built inside of the McLeod dispatch system.
Uh-huh.
The dispatch you get on a truck, it's reading that versus an address you may put in,
Mhm.
and it's saying, okay, he really belongs here, but he's over here, but he needs to go there, but he's over here. That's not necessarily the navigation part of it. A lot of it just comes down to the address that we're using internally that we're giving to you all. So,
Okay.
but with that, we're going to have the ability, and you all are going to have the ability in the trucks, which you can to a degree right now on OmniTrax. But
Yeah.
with this one here, you're actually going to be able to go through and save addresses so that that Harbor Freight tool store in Canton or the DC in Dillon or this Bob's truck stop that you like to stop at that nobody else ever stops at, and there's always plenty of parking. You'll be able to save those places for your reference to easily get back to in the future.
Okay. I know there's been times that I was going to, for example, Columbus, Georgia, going over to that Pratt's recycling place. The first time I went there, the direction, I wound up in the middle of a neighborhood in a housing area. And when I got there, it says you have arrived at your destination. They ain't nothing but
Yes.
And what I'd ask everybody to do,
trying to turn around and get out of there.
what I'd ask everybody to do, the minute you start having that uneasy feeling about some directions you got, if you can get us on the phone, if you can get me on the phone, your driver manager on the phone, somebody on the phone, we have the ability to see the route that you've got.
Okay.
Now with that, if that reroute button pops up, never push it. Always retype your address. But the minute you've got an uneasy feeling about something, if you get us on the phone, we're able to see where it is that it's ultimately taking you to. And if sometimes it comes down to a zip code. If a driver put a zip code in there, it comes down to, Rosemary Lane versus Rosemary Street. The system's not always finding the place we want it to be at, because it's wanting to find the place that comes up first for it. So anytime that you start having those issues, or it puts you somewhere you're not supposed to be, getting a hold of us, letting us see it, so we can go in and we can actually shut those routes off so that it won't take a driver down that way again.
Right.
Well, we got to know about it as it's truly happening right then.
It's only happened a few times, just a couple of times or so.
Right.
But, and then one time in Raleigh, I was going, first time I went to the Raleigh freight store, directions had me, I wound up right downtown of Raleigh.
and it will, and the Raleigh store is a little different because that downtown Raleigh area, that is a truck legal route.
Yeah.
And to get to that store, that is the preferred direction to come from because you're going to have to make that right turn and then the left turn to go behind the store. So that is the preferred way to go, but I don't think there's a truck driver in the world who would ever want to go that way on purpose.
I'm not talking about taking me down, on the truck route. When I left the interstate, that's the direction it took me. Instead of turning right off the interstate, go on Capitol Boulevard to go to the store, it had me going the other direction into town, up middle of town, when I was supposed to be going the other direction.
Yeah.
And luckily I got turned around and wound up where I needed to be at, without any problems.
That's one of those that if when it's happening, and I know when these things are happening, calling somebody at the office isn't always the first thing on your mind. But when you even if you get to a store and get stopped, we're able to go back and look at what it gave you on a route versus your tracking, and literally just push a button and close a road off to prevent it from giving a driver that route again. But
okay,
just make us aware of them as it happens, and let us shut these things down.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.
That's it for me.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hey, Frank, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there's Jeff.
Hey, I had to go out and try to come back in. That was the best way to clear it up. I was getting bad double feedback, and I don't know what all was going on there, but yeah, I just had a couple of things I wanted to touch on about the tandems. Mostly had a lot of trailer damage alone, just on bogies. So tandems not being locked in, they slide to the back and about rip out of the ICC bumper. So I mean, we gotta really make sure we're picking up these trailers from these drop lots where the tandems slid to the back. Most of the time, these customers are just pulling the pins and letting them slide to the back. Some point or another, when the driver's hooking up, they're sliding them part way up. They take off down the road and they don't lock them in. The first time they hit the brakes, they're slamming the tandems all the way to the ICC bumper and tearing pins out of them. We've had, Frank, we've had a bunch of damage from that. We've had some stuff where drivers had attempted to make a makeshift repair on it just to get it back to one of our yards, which the trailer might have gone down the road that way.
Yep.
The other thing I wanted to touch on.
What Jeff's talking about, guys, real quick. Jeff, we actually had a driver who tandem slid to the rear on him, knocked some pins out. And because this driver did not want to report this to us, he took a load strap, wrapped around the axle, wrapped around the tandems, and thought he was securing something to travel about 350 miles with down the interstate. That's not a made up story. Jeff's 100% what happened. But go on, Jeff.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of that. I mean, a lot of bogies being torn up, ICC bumpers bent, the slider rails being twisted because the tandem playing them to the back so hard. I mean, some of these are at 55 mile an hour. I don't know how they hadn't slid before they got to that speed, but it is happening, and it's a big deal. It's an expensive event for us because there's nobody we can pin that on, but the company got to pay the bill for it. I mean, if it's something where our trucks are getting torn up by another company, that's one thing. But when it's just our drivers not doing their pre-trips, they're going down the road and then they're costing $2,000 to $5,000 worth of damage to the trailer, that coming out of the company pocket every event. So, I mean, that's stuff that we all got to keep in mind and keep an eye on and check before you pull out of a drop lot with a trailer. The other thing I did want to touch back on it is about the homeless people stuff that you mentioned earlier. This time of year, it's getting cold. The homeless people are looking for a place to stay. It was actually brought to my attention through another carrier that they had an event, and thank God their driver was doing his pre-trip and found the man sleeping up under the trailer between the wheels. That could have been tragic. So it got brought to my attention through another carrier, and I thought, hell, that's a great thing to bring forward to our company because we do a lot of dropping hooks behind Harbor Freight stores. And where are the homeless people going to be? They're going to be out behind shopping plazas and stuff. So really got to check your trailers especially behind them Harbor Freight stores, make sure you're looking under them and in them because they're not above popping the doors on an empty trailer and crawling up there and sleeping. If you're not checking your doors, you know, you may be going down the road with one door swinging and somebody laying up in the inside the trailer. So really important to be following up on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I had something else, but in my fiasco with my audio here, I kind of forgot what else I wanted to touch on. But I'll turn it back over to you, Frank, or Freddie, or
Okay.
Kevin, whoever's got something else to say.
Well, last thing I want to do here, I want to turn this thing over to Kevin. Kevin, if you haven't met Kevin, Kevin is our recruiter now. Freddie's still recruiting as well, but Freddie's moved into more of an HR role. Spends a lot of time listening to me ramble on about various projects. Kevin's taking over recruiting. He's a Baltimore Ravens fan because something's wrong with him, but he wants to chime in here as we close this thing down.
Yeah, guys, I spoke last time on the referrals, and I actually had a couple of you refer some new drivers. So I really appreciate that. Just keep in mind, we still have a referral bonus in place. Get with me if you buy the office or call me. We'll speak about it. But refer a driver, we'll get you a bonus. Just keep them coming to me. Appreciate all you do and continue to stay safe out there, guys.
Guys, listen, we certainly appreciate everybody and Service Transportation and what all you do out there. We appreciate you taking an hour or so of your time this morning. These meetings are going to continue. The next one will probably be the week. It'll probably be the Monday between Christmas and New Year's, just with some end of year stuff being thrown out there. And then the plan is to have these become a monthly thing. I will tell you, there's some talk right now that we may make these part of the bonus requirement that the driver's got to attend one of these every 3 or 4 months. So certainly keep that in mind. Last thing we want to do is I want to give out some gift cards. I got Freddie here, who's got everybody's name there. Freddie, you there?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, Freddie, if you would go on and tell this group here, we got 2 $25 gift cards we're giving out. It ain't a whole lot, but it's something. And Freddie's gonna tell us who the winners are.
All right, we'll do it this way. Since you're still audio here, Frank.
Yep.
Give me 2 numbers between 1 and 30.
1 and 30. Let's go 19 and 20.
Jimmy Bynum.
Jimmy
and Dan
Bynum.
Higgins.
Right here.
There we go.
Yep. Jimmy Bynum and Dan Higgins. That's 19 and
Hey,
There we go. So Jimmy, Dan, next time you come by the offices, come down there and see Freddie. He's gonna have you deal for you, and we're gonna keep doing this as we move on, guys. I certainly appreciate everybody being here. Hope everybody took a little bit of something from this. And by all means, you got questions, comments, and/or concerns, we're here if you need us.
All right.
Everybody
Amen.
have a good weekend and stay safe, and let's keep on trucking.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Recording